There we go. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to an old friend, Momus. How you doing? It's been a long time, mate.
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
You're more than welcome. What's been happening? What you been up to?
Not much. Just working, doing my bits, trying to save the UK.
Well, that's it. That's the discussion we're going to have tonight. How are we going to save the United Kingdom? And we've got loads of stuff going on. There's loads of stuff going on in the UK at the minute, and we're looking and we're going, this is looking pretty grim if you're looking in from the outside. But do you know what, Momus? I actually think we're in a pretty good place now. But we've got to keep everything together, keep everybody together, make sure that anyone that's trying to disrupt things either gets ignored or ostracized, and we've got to plow the furrow that we're going down and see where we end up. I mean, obviously, recently we had the great event on the 26th of October. Sadly, Tommy was literally locked up the day before, which was no coincidence whatsoever. It was also no coincidence, I think, that they buried what had happened in Southport until after the event as well. So it seems like the deep state is doing what the deep state does, taking people out of the frame and suppressing information, because the more that comes out about Southport, the more chilling it becomes in the way that I was going to say managed, but I think we should say mismanaged the situation in Southport and what happened. They completely covered up something that was absolutely horrendous. It was horrendous anyway, but the more it comes out, the more horrific and monstrous it seems to have been. But yeah, what are your thoughts on all that? I mean, obviously on the 26th, a while ago now, but on what's happened with Southport and events, since then.
I think so. With Southport, it's just a trend. It's a pattern where the establishment doesn't think that much of the public. They think we're not mature enough. We don't know enough, and then we will just cause disruption. Different people. It's not just one sort of people will cause disruption. They think every single pocket of people will cause disruption. So they just treat us like children. And this is consistent with Tory party as well as Labour Party. Not much of the Liberal Democrats and the other people, they actually don't treat people like that, even though they treat people very differently anyways. But they don't treat people in that sense, like thinking that they're stupid enough not to know. But Reform Party is also going in that route as well, of thinking, so I've been doing like these episodes called Thoughts from Soviet Britain on my podcast, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah,
Commissar Starmer. I mean,
yeah,
or Keir Starling, as we call it.
And I did a recent today actually. I put up an episode over there called "Shut Up and Put Up," right? And it's about Reform Party, because that's what I feel from Reform Party. That's what they're trying to say. If you don't agree with us, then you're out, sort of a thing. Like, just shut up and put up. Don't criticize us. Don't do anything. Just like, go ahead. And this is exactly what the pattern has been for a very long time. So I wasn't surprised that any information was withheld in the Southport case. It's just that the nature of it, that person is potentially been groomed by Islamists, that there's the hands of Islamists over there, that they are trying these things out, right? So they're trying these things out with people who are recent recruits, so that when they get caught, because they're not initiated for that much, they don't have that much clearance, they don't have that much of the organizational clearance and stuff, so they won't be able to give out that much information when they're caught, right? But they can test our responses, how the government responds to it, how our emergency services respond to it, how the public responds to it, right? So these are all tests, and people should be really aware this is very tactful way of working. This is not just some random person. It is some random person doing it, but it is by design as well that a random person is doing these things.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine last week, and he believes that the Muslim Brotherhood's behind a lot of the mass migration into the UK, and there's a lot of operatives getting sent into the UK. And also, there's a book, I'm sure you've actually read it, among the mosques by
Yeah.
Ed Hussein, as he calls himself.
Yeah.
It's really Mohammed Hussein, but he calls
Yeah.
himself Ed just to make us all
Yeah.
feel comfortable. But obviously, he's claiming to be de-radicalized. I'm not going to dispute that. He seems perfectly reasonable. He's quite a peaceful sort of fella, Sufi Muslim. But his book, he's talking to one of the leaders of the Islamic community in Manchester, and this guy's saying, these guys that are coming in, they're crazy. And this is a Muslim guy. So this is the Muslim community leader in Manchester saying, these guys that are coming off the boats from Yemen, he actually names the countries from Yemen, from Somalia, from Sudan, from Iraq. He says they are radicalized. They've been fighting against and Syria. They've been fighting against the governments, and they come in here. And this is what they get. This Muslim guy says they're coming here. They're radicalizing the young people in the mosque. So there's a split between the elders in the mosque and the young ones in the mosque, and they're actually influencing the young people to behave in a radical way. Now, that is a far more plausible scenario than the United Nations is flooding us with migrants, and there's loads of crater, pallets of AK-47 sitting behind all the hotels. That's a form. The fact that the Muslim Brotherhood is quite possibly sending these people to the country and possibly even funding it with rich donors and flooding us with ex-fighters from these forever wars all the way around the Middle East. Now that's frightening, because that means that we could well be looking at an October the 7th style attack somewhere along the line.
I gotta say this, right? Because people think that you have to be like really smart enough to attack us or to infiltrate us and do these things to the West, right? And that's why they think, oh, it can't be the Muslims Brotherhood, like, or these people are idiots. Mostly they don't have higher IQs and stuff like that. It must be the UN, or it must be the Jews, right? Or it must be someone else who was smart enough, known to be smart enough, doing it. You don't have to be smart enough, you just have to be determined enough, right? And one thing about the Brotherhood and the Islamists is they are unified and they are determined in their hatred of the West, of the Jews, of the non-Muslims. They are very determined to do dawah or to do jihad, right? Either way, they want to spread their Islam. So I get this idea as well, and I get this idea as well to get the moderate Muslims on board, the de-radicalized Muslims on board, which Reform seems to be doing, so that we can handle the extremist in the midst, right? But I think so that's a fallacy. That's a wrong tactic.
It's a Trojan horse, Mo. It's exactly. a Trojan. I tell you why it's a Trojan horse, because the reality is, this is the fatal error that the security services and the British government are making. They go, okay, well, if they're not violent Islamists, they're not too bad.
Yeah.
If they're just doing dawah, they just want to convert a few people to Islam, that's okay, as long as they're not doing any violence. And it's almost like the mafia, isn't it? The mafia used to come to people's, not just the mafia, all sorts of crime gangs all over the world would come and knock your door and say, look, this guy walking about here, we know he's crazy. He's going to set your house on fire. But if you pay us $500 a month, nothing's going to happen. Your restaurant's going to be fine. Exactly. Obviously it's a lot more sophisticated, but that's pretty much what the Islamists are doing. They're coming to the government going, listen, we don't want to cause any trouble. We don't want any violence. We don't want any aggro. All we want is for our religion to be respected, for our religion to have a place in society, for us to be able to preach our religion, without interference, for us to be able to practice our practices. If we want to have 4 wives, we want to have 4 wives. That's all we want to do. We're not here for any other reason. We just want to do this perfectly reasonably, and we really do feel that we're being discriminated against, and there's a lot of Islamophobia. And do you know what? We'd actually really like you to pass some laws making it illegal to attack Muhammad, and of course the other prophets that we recognize, like Isa and Abraham and Moses. We want all those prophets to be recognized as well, and we'd like you to pass some laws to do that, just to make it nice and comfortable. And then we can make sure that these horrible jihadists go away, because they don't represent us. But that's exactly what they're doing.
That's a huge tactic as well that is going on. But there's another. I feel there's another, right? So it's when we think like the because it doesn't help the actual moderate Muslims as well. when we think they are the answer to solving the Islamist problem, right? Because the moderate Muslims themselves are munafiqs in the eyes of Islamists, and they are worse than the kafirs, right? But the other point of that as well is how you control out the external factors or external people coming in and attacking your culture and stuff is you beef up your culture, you make your own like declarations that this is you, this is our lands, right? You become stronger in enforcing your own laws. Then they won't attack the strong man, right? There's a reason why like Russia has a problem as well of this, of Islamist within Russia, but because they have a strong man, they can't penetrate Russia, right? They respond to that. The Islamists will not attack America when Trump is there, right? Because that's a strong man, and he is more pro himself. So this is what's disappointing for me, in terms of Reform Party, right? So instead of beefing up their own people, they have alienated their own people by saying, by regarding us all as that lot. They have
Yep.
said like anyone who's like they are not even pro-Christian. We seeing like all of they talk about it every now and then, but there's no meaningful substance over there, right? And then they're thinking like, okay, we need the Muslims because of the votes, right? Are
Exactly.
votes more important to you, or is saving the country more important to you? People might say like, okay, getting votes is going to save you the country. Not if the demographic is changed so much that you need the Muslim vote to win. No, the country is
That's
already lost by that time then.
that's absolutely the problem. And I think Farage he thinks, I don't think Farage understands Islam, to be honest with you. I don't think he gets it. I don't
No,
think he
no, they
understands.
don't.
And because he doesn't understand religion, if you're a fundamentalist Christian,
Hmm.
and you're taking it really seriously, you'll try and do everything it says in the Bible, right? You'll try and live like Jesus lived. You'll try.
Hmm.
Everybody fails because it's impossible, but
Yeah,
people will give it a good go, and
yeah.
they'll do the best. But the reality is, if you believe in Islam and you take it
Hmm.
really serious and you go, I really want to be like Muhammad. Well,
Yeah,
we know where that leads, and we don't have to say it,
yeah,
because everybody
yeah.
that's been watching my videos for years knows exactly how Muhammad lived,
Mhm.
what he did, and how he behaved according to. Now, that doesn't mean it really happened, but it just means that according to the Islamic texts, he lived in a certain
Yeah.
way that has led to 1400 years of torment for people in the Middle
Mm.
East. That's the truth. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
But even if you take out the exaggerations and stuff, that might
mm,
be exaggeration,
yeah,
or even if you say all the hadiths are wrong, all the hadiths are unverified,
yeah,
even then, right? Even then, there are historical records of the things he did to the people who have recorded what they did to them, right? So
yeah,
even by that, he was a horrible person, and his
absolutely,
example is horrible. And
absolutely.
if anyone wants to enact that, which they all should do, right? That's the whole thing as well. Every single Muslim should want to be like Muhammad,
Mm,
right?
exactly,
Otherwise, there's no point of being a Muslim. What is
exactly.
this cultural Muslim thing? Is bullshit, nonsense.
Exactly. I mean, you might as well, be a Christian, or be an atheist or whatever.
Be
But I
a
mean,
Christian, like leave Islam and become
yeah,
something
yeah.
else. Like,
If you want to have a nice, if you want to be a nice, that's exactly it. And
become a
I think
Hindu
that's,
for all I care. Like,
yeah, but I think almost the problem is that's what people don't understand. We're not attacking. We'd never attack Muslim people. We're always saying what
no,
is in the ideology, what is in the scriptures,
yeah,
what's in the traditions, because that's what the religion is. And if you're taking a religion seriously,
hmm,
you become like the founder of that
yeah,
religion. That's the whole point. So if you take Christianity very seriously, and like I've always said, I'm a dismal failure at this, so there's no point me even using me as an example. But I know people that do take it seriously, and they do become Christ-like, and they become very nice, gentle,
yeah,
kind, welcoming people. Right now, I don't see much of that in the Hadith, or in the Sunnah, or in the biography of Muhammad, or in the Quran. Um, I just see a lot of pain for people, and
yeah,
that's the problem. And they can pick out the little fluffy verses like, "Oh, to kill one man is to kill the whole of humanity," but they don't say the context that that's only telling Jews to do that, and it's for a
yeah,
specific place at a specific time. So,
hmm,
anyone can cherry pick cherry pick scriptures. But putting all that aside, because obviously we you know, we've done the critiquing Islam so much, you know, I've done it with.
By the way, it's like I gotta tell your viewers as well. If on my pin tweet right now, because I was celebrating my own Islamophobia Awareness Month in November, where every single day I was putting a very problematic edict in Islam and critiquing it. So the thread is still there. All 30 posts are still there. When day by day, I will be converting that into a book. I'm working on it now. So if you want to really celebrate Islamophobia Awareness Month, go on my Twitter and go on my pin tweet.
Yes. I'm send me the link to that actually.
Yeah.
Because listen, we all need to be constantly reminded about what's in those texts, what those texts say, and you've only got to go down to Speaker's Corner to hear people that absolutely believe them, absolutely support them, and will tell you why it's a good idea to marry a 9-year-old and have sex with them. Exactly. That's the reality of the situation. But by the way, it's not a good idea. It's a really, really bad, sick, twisted, perverse idea, just in case anybody tries to clip that. But yeah, so let's put that all to one side. We know what the problems are. We have got some solutions. It's really down to getting buy-in. So let's talk about the pledge. I mean, I've talked the pledge to death. We had the launch a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to have other launches. Well, obviously that wasn't the launch; it was a signing event. By the way, there's 775 people watching, which is pretty good for a Sunday night without any advertising. So thanks for logging on, guys, and do us a favor, like the channel, like the comments, like what's going on, share the video on all the different socials. Let's try and get this up over 1,000. See what we can do. So yeah, I mean, Momus, the pledge, obviously, you were in the room when we were talking about it in July. It's been in the planning for a lot of years. What are your thoughts on where we're going with the pledge and how it's going so far?
I think so. It's at a pretty concise and solid position right now. It doesn't the thing that I prefer about it is it doesn't demand you to be of one political leaning or another. It's across the spectrum, right? Because this is somewhere we have to get across at some point. Like, I get it, like the conservative side of things, right? And to a most extent, I am a traditionalist more than a conservative, but still I'm sympathetic to the conservative more than the liberals and stuff. But I just want like the whole country to get together, regardless of like I want us to be at a position where we understand, like we re-understand the realities, right? We stop fooling ourselves, and then we can discuss our point, the liberals and the conservative or whatever it might be. But first, I need us to get to that point. So I think so. The pledge does that in a way. And there has been some criticism. Some people put out some criticism, but I think so is people not understanding probably the pledge. So maybe like my own criticism of the pledge would be that we need to do something more to explain to people why the pledge is there, and each point, like, so we could do like each part like sort of episode and go through it so people understand like the points of it. Someone said like that why is it focused on anti-Semitism when it comes to it? Well, it is not. If you read about it, it's saying about all types of discrimination and stuff like that. And when it says why is someone said like why is it over focused on Christianity? Well, the fundamental idea is that Western society, at the current Western society as we know it for the past 2,000 years, has been built on the back of Christian values and traditions. But we're not forcing anyone to be Christian.
I want to jump in on that, because that's absolutely what you say. That's absolutely right, Momus. I think there's a couple of things. First of all, we are going to have explainer videos. We're going to do hopefully you'll jump in. We'll do some discussions where we can go, okay, what's this about? What does this mean? Because one of the people that was at you'll see it when the video comes out on Urban Scoop, one of the people that was at the event asked me, look, do I have to be a Christian to sign this? I'm not a Christian. I don't really like Christianity. I said, no. I said, look, when you're signing this, you're acknowledging that the heritage of the UK for the last 1,500 years is fundamentally Christian. And it's actually been a good thing. Not that the church has been a good thing for 1,500 years, or every vicar's been a good person for every, because the church is made up of human beings, and the different people in the church are human beings who are failed, flawed, and some of them have done some terrible, despicable things that they'll have to answer for. But so it's not pushing people to be Christians. What we're saying is we've got to acknowledge the Christian heritage of the UK and actually protect that heritage and reinforce and strengthen that heritage where we can. Now, if people become Christians, I believe it all, as you know. I mean, I'm that's just the way I am. And but people that are atheists can sign the pledge. Richard Dawkins could sign the pledge, because I think you look at Richard Dawkins, he probably pretty much agree with everything in it. To be brutally honest with you, I don't think he, and not that I'm a fan of Dawkins, but I'm just saying someone even as extreme in his atheism as Dawkins would be able to sign it, because it's not saying you have to be a Christian by any means. What we're saying is that getting back to some of those principles is not going to be a bad thing, and it's going to be helpful. And getting back to what British culture is, and again, we've got to be against racism, we've got to be against anti-Semitism, but we've also got to be against anti-white racism and the identity politics that's absolutely tearing the country apart. We've got to be against Islamism, because Islamism is extremely dangerous, as we've already covered. We've got to be against communism, because communism, well, look at what's happening. That's what happens when you vote for the Labour Party. You get a communist state, and I think in 5 years' time, if we're still allowed to vote, if they haven't managed to get Big Brother to take away our vote, which is highly possible, we're going to be in a situation.
Or if we're not sitting in prison with Tommy.
well, let's come on to Maya. I mean, Maya. I was chatting to Maya earlier on, just on WhatsApp, and he is, he's obviously a bit concerned about what's going on. And I mean, the reality is, I've seen a lot of Maya's content. I've never seen him say anything that's vaguely threatening or bullying.
Even if it is, right. I don't understand. Like, if the person is not directly threatening a person who is in UK, right, who is a British national, he's not threatening him as in I am going to go to your house and kill you, right? That sort of threatening. If they're not doing that, then it's whatever. It doesn't matter, right? People say so many things about Putin all the time, right? People say so many things about Zelensky. People say so many things about Trump all the time, right? Or wish he was dead, or like, if I had the chance, I would kill him, right? The people on the political left say that all the time. Is anyone knocking on their door?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Nope. I mean, well, they scream. I mean, we, as you know, a lot of Jewish people come to our events because we're the only people that are probably really standing against anti-Semitism in a forceful way. A lot of Jewish people come to our events with the Israeli flags and celebrate what we're doing, and they love what we're doing. And they're being called Nazis by the far left. That's not the Islamists. There might be a few Islamists with them, but it's the far left. It's stand up to racism, hope not hate. These sort of people. Not the hope not hate that they're in the crowds, but they're stirring a lot of stuff up in the background. But so we're being screamed at by leftists that actually hate Israel, are anti-Zionist, which is the same thing as being anti-Semitic. They want to see the state of Israel destroyed, and they're calling us Nazis. Well, to me, the fingerprints of Nazism are pretty much in their DNA, not in my DNA. And I've got to put up with that garbage. I've lost business over it because leftist companies that know what I do have stopped doing business with me because of this. So the reality is that we have to get change, and we have to get fundamental change. So where I see the pledge going, Momus, I see it sitting above politics. It like you said, it's not party political. I'm in UKIP. Just for disclosure, I'm in UKIP. I'm on the NEC of UKIP. It's out there on public record. I support UKIP, but I'm actually not pushing UKIP. I'm pushing the pledge, because the pledge is what has to happen in the next 5 years. And we'll talk about Farage in reform in a minute, and the massive alleged donation that he's getting from Elon. But the whole idea of the pledge is to sit above all that. So we could have Suella Braverman, we could have Nigel Farage, we could have Ben Habib, we could have Nick Tinconi, we could have the guy from the SDP. I can't remember his name. The guy from the SDP.
William Clouston.
William Clouston. Yeah, sorry, William. So all of those guys, I believe, could sign the pledge quite happily. I don't believe there'd be anything in the pledge that Nigel couldn't sign, that William Clouston couldn't sign, that Nick, Robert Jenrick, Suella Braverman, maybe even Kemi could sign it as well. I don't know. But so you could have everyone from Kemi Badenoch right the way through to William Colston, Nigel, and everybody else signing that, and then that gives you an overarching ideology on which to plot the course of the country, not just the government, but the whole country, culturally, spiritually, legally. It covers absolutely everything. And this is what I think, if we have, forget about, what Elon's going to do with reform, if he does or doesn't do it. If we have 1 million people signed up by the next election, that's a massive, massive voter base. And if you've got a lot of those people in swings, marginal seats, that's a massive impact that you can have. And at the minute, we've got 46,000 signed up. And we haven't
works
done
as
any
a pressure group. That's the thing. Like, it works as a pressure group, and it keeps everyone honest. It doesn't matter which political party you are. You have to, and it's broad enough. The things about in the pledge are broad enough, and it will naturally exclude communists. It will naturally exclude extremists, Islamists, or anyone who wants bad for this nation. It will exclude them, right? Anyone who thinks that, like, have any sort of stupid ideas, right? And it doesn't want our future to be British, basically. It will exclude them. So if someone is not signing it, right, it's non-committal as well. It's not as if, like, we'll take you to court if you don't sign it. We'll just know if you're not signing it, and if you're signing it, and if you're saying, if you're going against it, then we will know, sort of a thing.
Exactly. That's it. And I think, to me, and there's a friend of mine who's always used this phrase. He says, what right-minded person wouldn't sign the pledge? And I agree with that 100%. So my take on it is, if you're against the pledge, then you're either crazy, or you're not, or you don't believe in the United Kingdom, or you're a communist, a Nazi, or an Islamist. If anybody's on our side and you don't sign the pledge, you need to go and hang your head in shame, because you're not really on our side. You're playing games. You're pretending to be on our side, but you're not. You're a wrong one. Not that I don't want to put people under pressure, but that's how I feel about it. Obviously, I'm very passionate about it, as you are as well, because you were there in Fleet Street, and we had a great, great brainstorming session then, and there's a lot of work going on since and before. So this guy's asking, Richard, what will we do with the pledge when we've got millions of signatures? What is the purpose? Basically, what we'll do when we've got millions of signatures, I believe we'll get millions of signatures, because if that petition that I signed the petition, I did a video criticizing it, and then I apologized, because, to be fair, it was a good idea. Obviously, my point was, it's not going to, that petition of 3 million people is not going to force a general election. However,
no, I don't think so. Anyone was under the illusion it would. It was sort of like it's a ray of hope, and uniting people together. That's what this pledge is supposed to be as well.
Well, it's more because the difference between the petition and the pledges, right? So if we have 3 million people, we've got 1,000 on tonight. By the way, guys, if you haven't signed the pledge, go to thepledge.org.uk and sign up, because we want to get up to that million signatures by the end of next year. Okay, so if we get the millions of signatures, which I'm absolutely convinced we will, basically we then go to the Tory party, Reform. We go to UKIP. We go to whatever Ben's doing. Whether, Ben might be back in Reform, might be with UKIP, might set his own thing up. Whatever Ben's doing, but Ben, I think Ben's. We've also got to realize how important Ben is. But we'll come back to that. But if we get those millions of people signing the pledge, we can then go to those politicians and say, look, we've got 10,000 people in your area who've signed this pledge. Your area is a marginal seat. What you do with the pledge and the commitments you make to the pledge, we will let the people in that marginal seat know. That's all we'll do. I'm not going to tell people how to vote, because that's not our gift. But we will go to all the people who've signed up in that area. We'll target that specific area, and we'll send them an email saying, your local MP and the Conservative Party, if it is the Conservative Party, have agreed to the principles in the pledge. I don't think they ever would in a million years, by the way, the Conservative Party. But say it's Reform, and Reform have a road to Damascus experience, and they suddenly decide they've seen the light, and they realize that what we're doing with the pledge is the right thing to do. We would go to Reform. We say, guys, what's your candidate believe in that? What's your candidate there? What does he believe? We'll go and ask him what he believes. Ask Nigel what he believes. Ask the leadership what they believe. And if they back what's in the pledge, which is what will save the UK, let's get it right, that's what it's for, then we'll tell the people in that area where that MP is, this guy is back in the pledge, this guy's party is back in the pledge. That's all we have to say. We don't have to tell them how to vote, right? Now, if we're in a situation where we've got candidates from, say, UKIP, SDP, the Ben Habib Party, Reform, and they're all agreeing that they support the pledge, and they're all in that area. Now that'd be a nice problem to have.
Yeah.
But then I think what you've got to do is you've got to then talk to the candidates in those areas and say, guys, this is about winning an election. It's not about ego. It's not about which party's best. It's about winning an election on these principles. You all support these principles. You need to do a deal and put up one candidate and have a unity candidate.
This is a very important thing you said as well, right? Winning the election on these principles, right? I don't want to just win the elections, which Reform is looking to do, right? Just win the elections. No, I want to win the elections on a specific principle, so that we make sure when we win the election that we actually save the UK for the British people, right? And we safeguard it for the long term, not till I am an MP, not till Farage is an MP, like, sort of a thing, whoever is the MP, right? Till, for the futures and futures generation. This is what people have to understand. People really have to think about this. Are you trying to save the UK for yourself, or are you trying to save the UK for your children's and your children's children? Because that's the target that I have in my head.
Me too.
Down the generations.
Me too, brother. Me too. I mean, that's exactly right. And that's what's key in this, because the pledge is the only mechanism that can do that. If everyone just votes for, let's say everyone just votes for Reform, and Reform haven't signed up to the pledge, right? Well, you can't hold them to account. If they've signed up to the pledge, you can hold their specific policies to account, and you can put those politicians' feet to the fire and say, you signed this. We had 10,000 people voted for candidate A, candidate B, candidate C. That got them across the line, right?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, let's get it right. I mean, a few hundred votes in these areas can actually get people across the line, depending on where the pledge is in terms of spread throughout the UK. Would be, we've got all the postcodes, so we can work that out very easily. But that'll be an interesting exercise, because when we know they are where they are in relation to the marginal seats, that can have a massive impact on what happens. Even if we didn't even get 1 million, if we had a few 100,000 people signed up, and we knew that they were scattered in areas that were very, very marginal seats.
But that's the thing, like, you use it as a pressure group, right? And not just to do that, but you could also build policies, and you can promote those policies, right? And you can say, look, listen, this 1 million people, 2 million people, 3 million people, how many ever million people have signed the pledge, they are in agreement with this policy. Are you, as an MP who has signed the pledges, or are you going to discuss this policy? Are you going to push this policy? Are you going to get someone to, write a draft, write a white paper, push it in the parliament, push it in your party? So these sort of things, like, we can use it as a pressure group, right? And this is the purpose sort of the pledge in the end, is that it becomes that.
Exactly.
It becomes a vehicle where we can have, the public can have their say for these politicians.
Yeah, and the other thing is with it, what we can do with it as well is basically build a community around it, and that's what I think that's what we do when we do. Because I mean, I saw someone making comments about the pledge earlier, and they just misunderstood what the pledge is, because the pledge is very much born out of the ideas of unity that we've been working on these ideas for years, by the way. This isn't something we just dreamt up 6 months ago. We've been working on these ideas for a long time. We've been working on the how to structure the pledge, how to make it effective, how to get make it simple, make it really simple. So what we can do, we can help build community in the same way that we've done it with the United Kingdom rallies. There's loads of people have formed great friendships and this, that, and the other as a result of the United Kingdom rallies, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Loads of new people have come into the movement, and some of them are absolutely great, so, and some of them aren't, I mean, you get that everywhere, but the reality is, and the other thing about the pledge, it stops extremism, because it is the most moderate document I think I've ever seen, from our side of the the movement, and it stops extremism. So if you're a Jew hating, goose stepping racist, you can't really sign the pledge. You just can't. Not if you got any integrity. Well, you could sign it, but you can't pick it. You can't pick a mix. Say, well, I like most of them. See the bit about anti-Semitism, race. I'm not too fussed on that, but I'll sign it anyway. No. If you don't believe all of it, you don't sign it. That's just integrity. So it is a very, very safe, good, wholesome tool for building community, building policy, building ideology. And what an electoral tool it will be if we get over 1 million. We are in a position where I believe we can save the country. I'd like to see 10 million, right? I'd love to see 10 million people signed up. But if we got 1 million, I'd be happy with 1 million. 1 million people is a fair number. If we got 1 million people came to one of our demos, we'd be pretty pleased, So I think, and then it's about activating people to get involved in politics, to get involved in the discussion. And to realize, I think what's happened, Momus, right? I think we're in a situation where a lot of people felt when Labour got in, and the Brexit was betrayed. We've had this mass influx of irregular migrants, and we're in a situation where the whole country is very down and very depressed. And it, like you said earlier, it gives hope because I know in my heart of hearts that this thing's going to work but it'll only work, guys, everyone watching tonight, it'll only work if you guys sign up to it. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
And also, like, I think so it also allows us to have the serious conversations that we need to have without by having like certain safeguards as well, right? Because there's a lot of discussions when we need to have when it comes to immigration itself, right? And a lot of people are afraid to talk about those things because they'll be called racist or whatnot and whatnot, right? There's a lot of legal and illegal immigration that needs to be reversed in this country. There are people, many pockets of people that actually do not belong here, that have no intention of ever integrating or assimilating and stuff like that. Now, that doesn't need to be done with extremist viewpoints. That doesn't need to be done with the hate of another. That doesn't need to be done by hating that person for who they are, right? As an ethnicity. It doesn't need to be done by that. It just need to be done from the viewpoint that it's not in the best interest of the country to have you over here because you don't show any signs that you are ever going to assimilate, and your culture is very diametrically opposed to us. So we need to come up with a way, which Ben Habib says as well, which I really like Ben Habib for, where he says like, we have to send certain people back, and it doesn't matter what is the practicality or not. We keep trying till the practicality shows itself or eases up. We keep trying to do that, right? As a state, we need to do that. We need to offload so many people, like recently as well, like after Brexit, when they said, oh, EU people cannot come in, they did a deal with India, and so many of the Indian people have flooded in. Now, I don't have a problem with Indian people. Why would I? Ethnically, I am sort of Indian Pakistani anyways. Like, it is India anyways. There is no Pakistan. But ethnically, I am Indian, right? So I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem is like when you mass migrating, even legally, a lot of people, putting them in our health services. You change the whole culture of the health service. Recently, I went to doctor. For my wife, I had to go to hospital and stuff, right? Most of their staff is foreign. There's not even a one white. I saw their board, right, of all the staff nurses and stuff on the board. There was one white English woman, right, in the nurse ward. Everyone else was foreign, and not foreign as in foreign because of their ethnicity. That's just stupid saying that they're foreign, but like foreign as in like they've recently come in and they don't even have been taught the culture of the country, right? So you don't get the proper care, and we didn't get the proper care that we needed. We had nurses who were treating our wife as if we were retail customers, and she was basically crying before going into her surgery because she got so scared because there wasn't any compassion over there. Till one English nurse came in and she talked with her and she eased her like so much, and she was so happy because it's different cultures act differently. They have heavy-handed. I'm not saying whatever way they work in their country, it works for them. So I need to we need to talk about this as well when we get legal migration into the country, right? this is an issue as well. We have to see, like, we can't just wholesale bring people in and plug them in the service where there's gaps. We have to think about culture and stuff. And thing like the pledge sort of signals anyways that we are not doing it with the intent of being a bad person or racist or an extremist and stuff. We're doing it with the intent to maintain the British culture, right? And that cannot be maintained if the majority of the country is not native.
Totally. And I think this Tony Hollands, he's making a very good point there. When we're talking, we're never talking about Muslims as individual people. What we're talking about is the ideology of Islam.
Yeah.
And it's really important that people understand that. I mean, I've it's every bigot says this. I've got Muslim friends and all the rest of it. You know, I mean, like, that's what people say to justify saying something horrible about the group. But the reality is, I've had Muslim friends all my life. And in fact, one of the guys I served in the military with, one of my best mates, was a Muslim from Somalia. I mean, but I think what we're talking about is the extreme. It's not even extremism. It's basically people. The literalist. It's a literalist.
Yeah.
A literalist Muslim is a conservative literalist Muslim can be problematic because of what they believe, right? But I mean, I got into a situation. Someone stuck a thumb in me. I'll not go into the details, but it was basically. Anyway, cut a long story short, I was in London. I went to got up the next day. My eye was closed over, really gammy. Obviously, can't get to hospital, So I went to Boots, somewhere in London, and there was a Muslim lady with the I don't want to say hijab or whatever. It's just face cover, not full, but just the head covered. Obviously a Muslim, and she was so compassionate, so kind. So nice, was really concerned about, she was a pharmacist, really concerned about what was wrong with my eye. She wasn't a doctor, but she had a good look. And she was like, gave me some really good advice. Obviously, I had to pay for the medicine, but I mean, it wasn't much. But she was, she didn't have to do that. She could just go, oh, there's a bottle of stuff. There you go. Go and do whatever.
Yeah.
But, that really spoke to me. About this fact, of course there's many good Muslims, like it's like everything, there's good and bad people everywhere. But the problem is when you've got an ideology that encourages violence and everything else. I mean, we covered this at the beginning. That's where we get problematic, but we're never ever attacking Muslim people as individuals. Never have done. As long as I've been doing this, that's never been my motivation.
I think so. I want to make like a little distinction in there as well. Like, they are good people, right? They're not good Muslims, actually. They are good people, and this is why they are actually bad Muslims, right? So a Muslim actually has to be a bad Muslim to be a good person. So they're naturally good people. That's why they're bad Muslims. But because they're good people, this is why I actually care, right? Because I couldn't care less. I left Islam a long time ago, 18 years ago. I couldn't care, right? But the reason why I care is because they are good people. And because they are good people, I do not want their souls to be corrupted further, right? I want them to leave Islam, or I want them to understand the corruption of Islam, because they are good people. They don't deserve to be hoodwinked, to be corrupted by this ideology. It's not against the people, it's because of the people that I criticize Islam. If it was just an ideology sitting on the shelf, I couldn't care less, right? But it's because it affects good people who happen to be bad Muslims, right? So this is what I want people to understand. They're good people and they're bad Muslims because of that. If you're a good Muslim, then you're not a good person.
I mean, I know exactly what you're saying there, Mo. And like, if anyone doesn't know what we're saying there, again, we'll get you some crayons to paint with, okay? Because it was pretty simply explained, okay? But no, it's absolutely right. And somebody made a point there. It's on the screen. Dominic Cummings is worth approaching. Do you know what? I was actually watching a video by Dominic Cummings, and I think he is worth approaching.
Yeah.
Now, it may well be above my pay grade. He may not talk to the likes of me, because me being one of them lot. But one of that lot, was it Richard Tice said. So I think he is worth approaching. And if anyone can put me in touch with Dominic Cummings, I would certainly approach him and tell him what we're doing and how the great unwashed need the help of someone with the intellect of Dominic Cummings, because I think he's a great guy. Actually, I think
a lot of people like that are there who are worth approaching and stuff. It's because like when we keep on building this pledge, keep on building this platform, these people will naturally come to us, themselves, right? And it's not just Dominic Cummings. There's many Dominic coming kind of people.
course
It's
there
just
are.
because he's
Of course
out
there are.
there. There's a lot of people within local government and civil service who are actually patriots who want to do the right thing,
Yeah.
but they
Oh,
can't. They're
totally.
not enabled to do it. Yeah.
What we need, I mean, I think the thing is, and that's why I think again, I know I'm like a broken record going on about the pledge, but I think the pledge is a safety valve, because when a government comes into power, the civil service or the hierarchy of the civil service has a way of doing things that stifles anything that's radical, because they're so set in their ways, and unfortunately, their ways are now socialist and have been for 25 years. So because obviously this is what Blair did. Blair set up all these quangos, these institutions to stifle anything on the right, and they've been very successful at it. This slow cut of 1,000, the death of 1,000 cuts has been very, very successful. So I think, yeah, I mean, look, I think we've got skin in the game. I think that there's two things. We've got to do this is the first thing. We've got to use these next 5 years to set things in place that will save the country. And if we don't do it in 5 years, and this is why I know a lot of people really don't like what I say about reform. I'm not actually against reform, and I'm not actually against Nigel Farage. I just don't believe he's got what it takes to do what needs to be done. And that's people might not like that, but I don't really care, because I've got to be honest. There's no point in me coming on here and lying, saying, "Oh yeah, reform's the answer." No, reform isn't the answer yet. Neither's UKIP. And I'm a member of UKIP. I'm on the NEC of UKIP. So, and I'm saying it's not, because it's not the answer at the minute. It's a lot of work needs to be done with UKIP. But an answer may come out of all of these things under the pledge. And that's kind of that's kind of where I stand. So I'm not against reform. I've got loads of mates in reform, talk to them all the time. I'm in UKIP. I've got stacks of time for Ben. I've got stacks of time for the SDP as well, believe it or not. I mean, Rod Little, you look at Rod Little, great guy, really clever. I mean, I know he's not a leader in the SDP,
but he's a good voice in there. Yeah, he's
a good voice in there, right? Voice, so there's a lot of good people, a lot of good dissident people, and we do need to come together and try and get this thing. And that's so that's the pledge. That's saving the UK.
Everyone who loves the country, right? It's everyone who loves the country, regardless of your political leanings. That's the first hurdle. Once you have that, then we have some sort of common ground, and then we can discuss what political side we are on. Like, I used to be a member of SDP. I'm not a member of SDP anymore. Like, it doesn't matter. I like them a lot, right? But it doesn't matter in that sense anyways. It's just the first thing is that you love the country, and then we can discuss, because then we know we are on equal footing, that we're trying to do what's best for the country according to our political leanings.
Exactly.
But what we have right now in Labour and Liberal Democrats and stuff, these people don't like the country, right? They don't like the country.
They're governing a country. They hate the people they're governing. I mean, you look at the disdain that two-tier Keir, what are they calling him now about his journey? I think there's some phrase that they've used for his travels, but I mean, he's jet set Keir now, isn't he? I mean, he's trying to save the world. It's like people say, if you ever try and do anything, you've got to have your family in order first before you try and do anything. You don't go and try and save the world when your country's literally going to hell in a handcart. You know what I mean? I mean, Keir, get back here and do what needs to be done. You're Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and you're not President of the world just yet, Keir. I know that's probably your ambition.
Never
there's someone. There was a guy. I put his thing up earlier. Richard, do you have a UKIP rep and banger? Do you know we used to? But I need to find out. We used to have a UKIP rep and banger, but I don't know whether there is anymore. Which is a bit embarrassing since I've lived here for 30 years. But I mean, someone just put on there, they signed the pledge. Where have they gone? I wonder how. Can't find it. Anyway, there we go. So this Mystic Turtle just signed the pledge. I mean, there's so many people are signing, and there was an atheist put up earlier, says, "Look, I'm an atheist. Says I used to be an agnostic, now I'm an atheist, but I've signed the pledge because I believe it's the only way to save the country," and that's perfect. We're not saying you have to believe any of the stuff that we believe. You don't have to.
I mean, I worked on the pledge with you guys. I'm not a Christian. I'm not baptized, right? So it's not about that. Like, it is sort of like, okay, it would be good. Like, I like the Druids, right? I like them, right? The old native pagans and stuff. But the thing is that the Christian society makes sure that they are able to, the current Christian society, it might have been in the past, they might have been discriminated against, whatever, right? But the current Christian society will make sure that they are able to be the Druids if they want to be, right, without being discriminated against, right? And that is the native, the other native religion that we have. There's only two native religions over here. Is either the Druid paganism that we have,
Yeah.
or is Christianity. There's no other native religion, like Hinduism and all those. They're not native to these lands.
No. And I mean, the reality is, obviously, I don't really want people being pagans.
I mean,
I don't believe in it.
We're not going to behead them for it, are we?
No. But having said that, the pagans will probably burn you and put you on a funeral pyre and all the rest of it. So I mean, paganism's not that utopian either. But no, I mean, the way I see it from a practical point of view, even if I didn't believe the Bible, right, I would say, when a society is structured on a sort of Protestant work ethic based on, the biblical principles, Sermon on the Mount, 10 Commandments, Exodus, emancipation of men and women. People say it's that the Bible signs off on slavery. It doesn't actually sign off on slavery. It's not going against slavery, because obviously that was the mode of operation for work in the Roman Empire. But what it does is it says treat your slaves, basically like your brother, or your children. I'm paraphrasing. It doesn't say that specifically, but that's pretty much what it's saying. If a Christian, if there's a slave who's a Christian, then they are your brother. So you're not going to treat them like a piece of dirt. So this, but we're not going to go down the road.
Christianity is also about like progressing, right? So it's also about setting those things and improving those things time by time. It's not about like a set in stone. This is the problem with, I think so. This is the problem with Islam itself, because it's supposed to be pure, right? And anything that comes afterwards is actually fitna. It's not allowed. It's not the progressive thoughts to change Islam, to reform Islam, to make it better, whatever, are actually not allowed by Muhammad, right? But Christianity says this is the point of that we have slavery right now, and this is the route. Like, keep discussing it, keep debating it, keep doing it, and in the future you won't have slavery, right? So you will reach a better point, because Christianity is giving you that tools, right? And this is why I say to people as well, don't just shout Christ is King. Go and understand the wisdom of Christianity, of Christ. Exactly. Understanding the wisdom of Christ is important. Don't think that just because you're shouting it on the streets and you're going to the church that you've done your part. That is not the part. And this is why it's important. But it's provable fact that wherever there has been a Christian society, it has done better than all other societies.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just a question here about the pledge I'm going to put on the screen. You want MPs to sign so you can hold them to account. Good luck with that. What's on the pledge is already there, but government ignores everything the public want. Why would they take notice of the pledge? It's purely down to voting and pressure. It's as simple as that, and building a community that will, and I'm not saying we're going to build some sort of weird cult around the pledge, but when I say building a community, I mean people. We can put people in touch with each other if they want to be in touch with each other, because obviously, we can do that. So the reality is, because what we do is we'd have a meeting and then we'd email people in that area and say, we're having a meeting on such and such day. If you want to come, and then people can come and get together and meet and decide on what they want to do to take those principles
forward. They can
write
to the MPs, they can protest, they can whatever, they get pressure.
Yeah. So I get what you're saying, Chrissy, and I totally understand it. And I know we've all felt like that. But there's two things on it. First of all, we don't lose anything, or if you sign it, you don't lose anything. We're not charging people to sign the pledge. It's not like joining a political party where you got to pay a amount of money. You sign the pledge, and then we'll keep in touch with you, and that's it. We're not saying
it organizes us as well. I think so. It organizes us as well, right? So the people that we getting together to actually think about these things or promote things, or like in the future, whatever mode of protest that we're doing within the cultural movement, it organizes us that we don't get any wrong ones in our group, right? So it's as much as is for us is for the MPs or whatever politicians or people out there as well. It's an internal pressure group as well as an external pressure group in that sense. So it keeps us honest.
Exactly. Right. Let's look further afield. Obviously, Trump's been elected. that it looks like wars kicking off absolutely everywhere around the globe. So Trump is certainly going to have a very full inbox when he comes to power. What are your thoughts about Ukraine, Syria? What's happening geopolitically, Momus? I mean, where are you on all that? What do you think about and how it affects us, and how this little tiny United Kingdom can make a difference to what's happening in the world?
Well, I think so. Like, we put our foot in things that we shouldn't have with Boris Johnson, right? It
Yeah,
shouldn't have been us doing anything when it came to Ukraine and stuff. Um, it has gone on for too long now. Obviously, people need to understand that Putin has ulterior motives. No matter if you agree with Ukraine or not, they're both like corrupt countries, anyways. Putin, by the end of the day, is no friend of the West, right?
yeah,
It doesn't matter if you're if you don't like Zelensky, or you don't like what Ukraine is doing, or there's a lot of corruption. Obviously there's going to be corruption. That's the second most corrupt country in Europe, just behind Russia, right? So obviously that's going to happen. But the fact is that enemy of the enemy is not really your friend in this case. Like, he doesn't like us. But I think so. There's an end point coming to Ukraine situation. It should have been last year. They should have negotiated at that time, because Ukraine was at a stronger position. Now it is not at a stronger position. And what's happening is there's a regime change in America, right? And before that regime change takes effect, certain people and certain investment companies, investment firms, and management companies, whatever, are trying to cause as much disruption in the short space as possible, so that when that regime change happens, they have a problem on their hands, that they can't just bring peace straight away, that the negotiation is almost impossible. So they're trying to speed it up. They're giving more and more to Ukraine, so they use directly on Russia, right? So Putin gets even more pissed off, right? So I think so they are trying to do that. Trump is going to solve those problems, but it's just going to take him a lot longer, I think so. And the Syria thing, I think, is sort of part of that same plan, because Russia has their hands in so many things. So does US, so does we, right? Every country that wants to play on the global scale have their hands in whatever way, and according to them, they're doing the good thing, right? So it's not just Russia. America does that as well. So I think so that's the mode of conduct over there as well. They want to create a problem in Syria, and I don't think so we are understanding what's happening in Syria. Like, you changing one villain with an even worse villain, giving Turkey this much
I
hand
mean,
is problem.
this is the thing, Momus. I mean, it is literally history repeating itself. And in the Syrian civil war in what was it, 2012, 2000, kind of tapered off,
Yeah.
2017, 2018, or when Trump came to power, Trump kind of finished it, along with actually ironically working hand in hand with the Russians to a certain extent. And everyone was going at ISIS. And I think what people have forgotten is that these jihadists that are backed, certainly seems, by Erdogan, because obviously Erdogan is an Islamist, and he wants to be the caliph. I mean, that's his ambition. He wants to control massive parts of the Islamic world. He's kind of doing with Sunni Islam what the mullahs are doing with Shia Islam in Iran. And those groups that Erdogan is backing are hardcore jihadists. I mean, they're just complete and utter nightmares. And the reality is, when ISIS happened, that's when we got the blowback in 2017. That was a direct result of those ungoverned spaces. And of course, now we've got two ungoverned spaces, because we've got more than two. But I mean, the two most dangerous ones are Afghanistan. And obviously, you'll know this, Moment. Afghanistan, joined at the hip with Pakistan. When I say joined at the hip, obviously the two governments are
not the Pakistani government, but like the Pakistani underground.
The people. If you think about the people in the northern frontiers of Pakistan and the people, in the southern areas of Afghanistan, they are the same people. They are kith and kin, and and obviously a lot of them are in the UK, which is problematic. So
But a lot of
the
the Syrians, we have like all the problematic people over here, right? All the people
yeah,
who are in war from all over the world, from
yeah, yeah,
Africa, who have been in civil wars and
yeah,
been deranged by their civil
yeah,
wars and stuff, been chopping kids' hands and whatnot, from
yeah,
people in Syria, Iraq, and all the people with PTSD and really anger towards the West itself, all the people from Afghanistan, Pakistan. We have them all collectively over here, and we're thinking that we're going to make them Western.
yeah.
Good luck.
Exactly. I mean, it's crazy, and this is these are problems that we need to sort out peacefully now. Because if
Hmm.
we don't sort them out peacefully now, the country will descend into chaos, and in about 10 years' time, it'll be
Yeah.
absolutely. It doesn't bear. If we don't
Yeah.
get this sorted now, it's going to be absolutely diabolical. And
Because
what?
like they're playing the Sunnis right now in the Sunni world. There's a play going on, right? Because Saudi Arabia was supposed to take the lead of the Sunni world, but what they found is the new crown prince who's going to become the king is not that much keen on becoming a caliph. He wants to modernize the country and Islam and stuff like that, and he's working with Israel. He is working with Israel, and Jordan is working with Israel.
Yeah,
So a lot of people have been, especially in Pakistan and stuff, have been against the crown prince, have been against the Saudi Arabia. There has been attempts on his life with that, right? So in comes Erdogan, right? So he's like, okay, I'll be what the Sunni leader is not being, what the crown prince of Saudi Arabia is not being. I'll be that lead, right? So I'll revive the Sunni place, and we will have the Ottoman Empire again. So people are
exactly.
very much keen on that. So there's a huge link, which I don't know if people understand, between Turkey and Pakistan, right? Turkey and Pakistan have a very huge link together. They have intelligence sharing together. They have language sharing together, and they have like a lot of army sharing like together, right? So the activation of this Sunni thing from Erdogan coming in, people will be more receptive of it, because actually in the Sunni world, people regard him highly, right? People who are Islamist and most of the conservative Muslims regard him highly because he's a strong man, right? He's in the NATO and he doesn't take any shit from other NATO, forces. He deals with Russia as well and stuff. So this is a problem, and we have all these people over here. So within the 10 years, if we don't kick out a lot of these people, if we don't have remigration of a lot of these Islamists, a lot of the Muslims as well, if we just keep on giving them nationalities left, right, and center, and making them British, right? If we don't kick them out and stuff peacefully right now, after 10 years, when Turkey have, if they are successful in taking over Syria, taking over those lands, kicking out Shias from there and making it a Sunni state, all of it, Hezbollah gone, whatever. It might be peaceful for a while. We'll say, oh, it's peaceful and whatever. But when they're in a position to activate, to make a caliphate, right? Because this is going to happen. Afghanistan wants it to happen. And people in Pakistan want it to happen. Certain people in Pakistan, the current government doesn't, even though the current government is very, very corrupt. But when that happens, that's when the trouble happens, and they will activate. This is why they're testing. This is why the Southport things is happening. This is why everything has. It's not for now. It's for 5, 10, or whatever amount of years. They're gonna keep on giving missions. They're gonna keep on testing us, to see our responses. They're gonna keep having their people talk about Islamophobia and stuff like that. So it becomes impossible for us to even go against them in our thoughts, right? So till we submit.
Totally, Moss. I couldn't agree more. And this is the threat. I mean, obviously, the other thing is, I mean, let's be totally brutally honest. I mean, there's a lot of countries have nuclear weapons that shouldn't have them. North Korea, Russia. If it, you're saying about Russia, Russia will be a Muslim majority country by 2050, right?
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
fact, because the low birth weight among
Chechnya and
Christians.
like those places, they've opened up.
Chechnya, and
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still alive, but Putin's second in command in the military was
Hmm.
the ex-leader of Chechnya, and he
Yeah,
is an Islamist, but he's just
yeah.
an Islamist that likes Putin, and
Hmm.
he's a jihadist.
Yeah.
So there's massive problems in Russia. So these problems are massively deep, and when you look at it, you're going, there's a lot here that could go very, very badly wrong very, very,
Hmm.
very, very quickly. And I think Erdogan. I mean, the other thing is with Erdogan being in NATO. Obviously, if anyone attacks Turkey, then by default we're all at war with whoever attacks Turkey. So let's say Iran and Turkey.
We'll be fighting for the caliphate.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say Erdogan pushes his luck and gets his jihadists into. Here's a scenario. So Erdogan gets his jihadists to take over Syria or the greater part of Syria, or just completely vanquish Assad and the Alawites, and they're all gone. And by the way, all those Assyrian Christians that have been so badly treated for the past 1,500 years, and the Kurds,
Yazidis,
and the Yazidis, and the Alawites, and the Shia, they will all be absolutely slaughtered. They'll be slaughtered, right? And and any other minority atheists, they're gone. Anyone that's deemed to be an agent of the West, gone. They're dead, right? That's what happens when these lunatics take over a country. We saw it with ISIS, so I'm not. This isn't hyperbole. This is we've already seen it play out, right? And Erdogan is supporting these groups, these jihadist groups that have just taken Aleppo, and it's happened so quickly. So you could be in a situation where pushing up against Israel is Syria that's backed by Erdogan, basically controlled by Erdogan, run by jihadists, that starts launching probing attacks against Israel, and by default, Israel attacks Syria attacks Turkey, like Israel's probably going to hit Iran. So then, what happens then if Israel hits a NATO country? It's just a thought. I mean, but this is how crazy all this is, and this is how complex it all is. And again, so it brings us full circle.
This is why I've been talking about kicking Turkey out of NATO for so long, right? We need actual politicians. There isn't a single MP in the parliament that has raised this, that Turkey should be kicked out of NATO. What the hell are we doing? Can we push the other NATO nations to kick Turkey out? There's no point of appeasing the Turks, right? There's no point. Everyone returns to form. And they are this is why the Polish people are so strong against Islam, right? Because them and the Hungarians have fought the Turks for the longest. They know their true nature, and they will return to it. And we're going to be in a huge. It seems to me, I don't know what you think. It seems to me that a lot of different people from a lot of different political spectrum and regions have accepted the fact that Islam is going to take over. Right? They have accepted it, right? So Russia, it seems like they have sort of accepted it, and they are trying to. They'll make it happen. It's easy for them to control their population, so it will eventually happen over there. And their population decline will happen. Over here, the political left has thought okay, Islam is the future, so let's ease Islam into it. Political right has thought about that. Reform Party, we have seen, has thought about that as well. Apart from Donald Trump, everyone else thinks that Islam is going to take over. So let's have good Muslims so that good Muslims can fight wrong Muslims, right? And it's they're all going to combine against you. The only way to fight this is to become good at what we are, and rather than I don't care. Let's give them all. Let's give all the jihadis, Islamists, the good Muslims in our country a one-way ticket. Go fight in Syria, right? And give them. And like I was saying, we can give them pagers as well, so they can keep a track at each other, right? So, but
be careful with that. Be careful with that moment. That could be why Maya's getting trailed in tomorrow. I don't want getting nicked on account of
working pagers. What are you talking about? I have no idea.
Everybody needs a good pager, a good pager, a good mobile phone, and a good.
How else are you going to keep in touch?
A good electric scooter as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But, but no, I mean the reality is all this is true, and I think let's bring it back to UK. Let's bring it back to Tommy, because the reality is Tommy Robinson is sitting in prison in England for talking about this stuff. Let's get it right. It's not because he allegedly defamed some Syrian refugee boy. It's because he made a film that showed the corruption of the judiciary, of the education system, and of the British government at the highest level. That's why he's sitting in prison now. Not because he's a criminal. And
he showed their failure. It's a failure to integrate Muslims into this country, right? So they don't want
Exactly.
that to come out, because then people will say, okay, well, Islam is really not the future because they're not integrating into British culture, right? They don't want that out because they know that they have already decided in their head Islam is the future, And
Mo,
just some bad ones, some Islamists, some
yeah,
extreme. They're just some of them. If we get rid of them, then they're really good people. They care about family and they have family values and stuff. Yeah, they treat women like shit in their families, but let's go along with that,
yeah.
shall we?
And I mean, this is the other thing. We let's talk quickly about, I think we've talked about this before,
Hmm.
but the best way to defeat Islam is to make it pass a law that every single Muslim wife has to learn English and learn about British culture. Because I believe when those women, those strong, powerful women, because they must be strong and powerful to put up
Hmm.
with the shit they put up with, excuse my language, from that religion, and that religion trickles down, and we all know that that physical abuse of women and other abuse is signed off on
Yeah,
in the hadith,
yeah, yeah. Domestic abuse. Yeah.
the sunnah, right? So we know that that's where all this is coming from, and those poor women put up with that,
Hmm.
and they live in a country that's meant to be free, and you hardly ever see them out,
Yeah,
not on the
yeah,
road. They never go out on the road, and when they do go out, they're covered from head to toe, and
yeah.
and I know I've got
That
friends
needs to be
where,
banned anyways. That
yeah,
that that hat
yeah,
covering, that all that
yeah,
ninja gear needs
exactly.
to be banned.
But those women, a lot of the young girls, they would be such a powerful force to fight against radicalism, because if
Hmm.
they got emancipated and realized that there is a different world and a different life, and that actually
Yeah.
Western civilization is far superior
Hmm.
to what the illiterate, well, we'll not even say it, but the so-called prophet of
Hmm.
that religion. Um, Basically, those women would be emancipated. And those women, if the woman's not happy in the house, the husband
Hmm.
ain't happy. And
Yeah.
the reality is, if the woman knows if her husband hits her a dig, she can phone the police and get him taken away and put in prison
Hmm.
for 4 or 5 years. That's what should be happening. Because look, I know there's domestic violence among white people, and I know obviously that happens, and
Hmm.
there's terrible things happen. Men treat women terribly. But I would say most men that I know would never lift their hand to a woman,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they take all sorts of grief and abuse off women, but
Yeah.
they never lift a hand. And I think that would be a very, very healthy way. Someone's asking about the next rally. The next rally is going to be focused on Tommy's treatment. Um, Tommy's been getting an absolute amazing response while he's in prison on email. The amount of people are saying, we were at the last rally, we want another one.
Hmm.
So we're going to put a rally on, because Tommy said there's loads of people asking for a rally. Obviously, Tommy
Hmm.
can't order a rally from inside prison because that's, because he's in prison. But we're going to put a rally on. It's going to be on the Saturday, the 1st of February. It's going to be in London. We don't know exactly where yet, but it's going to be somewhere in London. And let's just make our plans and get ready for the next one, and book your trains
We
and
should have
book your hotels.
all the people come in like sort of prison gear.
Yeah, we could do that.
Everyone who's attending come in like
Yep.
dressed as if
we
like we're all
we
prisoners.
we could.
Yeah, because he's a symbol of that, right? Like, because
Yeah,
just for showing something up, you put him into prison, right?
yeah,
And your intention is actually try to kill him, try to get him
yeah,
killed while he's in prison, doing everything you can. If all the people that support him did not actually put pressure, he would have been dead by now. People need to understand
absolutely,
this. He would have been dead by
absolutely.
now in the prison if we didn't put enough pressure on everyone.
When he was
Decided
in
at the start.
when he was in Belmarsh, he wasn't been treated well at all. When he first got to Belmarsh, there was a female prison governor, and Tommy wasn't being treated well. And we started an email campaign, and within 24 hours, 10,000 emails had hit that woman's inbox. And that's pressure, and that works. It's not violent, it's not illegal, but it's pressure.
Mm.
And it had the desired effect, and they were going to put a regime together for him in Belmarsh, and then he got moved to Woodhill,
Mm.
and again he seems to have a regime, but it's not right yet, because he's still
Mm.
been treated as a classic category B prisoner,
Yeah.
when he's a category D prisoner. He
He's
should
a
be in an open
civilian. Yeah.
prison. In fact, he should be at home with a tag on for Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like anyone else that had done what he done, they'd be at
Yeah.
home. They wouldn't have even gone to prison. right?
Yeah.
He's the only journalist who gone to prison for contempt since the 1940s. Just think about that. Okay, and he is a journalist. He's a very good journalist, and I think history will be very, very kind to Tommy Robinson if we make it. If we have history, if there's anything going beyond what we're doing at the minute.
Even if people think like he's a shit journalist, right? Even if people think he's a shit person, even if people think like he's a dickhead, right? Even if people think that, right?
Yeah.
We should be afraid that the government can actually do this to someone who's that well known, right? That they can put them in, while we're not treating pedophiles as they should be treated, while we're not putting other celebrities and stuff who've done nefarious acts within the BBC and around BBC, they're not being treated in the same way. It's not about as they say, his real name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon. It's not about him, right? It's not about him. He's a symbol of what the government can do to us if we do not resist them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just the government. I saw this many years ago in Northern Ireland, back in the 90s. What they would do in Northern Ireland, and they still do it to a certain extent now, what they do in Northern Ireland, if somebody did something that the elites didn't like, the establishment, what they would do, they would leak a story to the newspaper. So there'd be a breaking story. This guy's done this. He's against this political position or whatever. Then they demonize the person. Then the next thing you know, the police would get involved. They did it with a pastor. It wasn't that long ago. It was about 15 years ago. They did it with a pastor. He was a Pentecostal pastor, and he stood in his own church, and he said. He says, Islam is heathen, Islam is demonic, Islam is a religion spawned in hell. That's word for word what he said. Yeah. And then he said,
I've worse,
then he said, yeah, I know, so have I. And then he said, I've heard there are many good Muslims, but I don't trust them. Right? That's what he said. That's the direct quote. I'm quoting exactly what he said. Now, he was dragged into court, not because he said Islam was demonic, not because he said Islam was a religion spawned in hell and all that. I can't remember what the other thing he said, but those three things that he said. He was dragged into court for saying that he didn't trust Muslims, right? That's what he was taken to court for. And he was facing, I think it was 6 months or a year in prison. His wife was dying of dementia, right? She was in an old people's home. He was, I think, 75 or 76 and not in great health himself. But he stood up and he won the case, and the judge, the judge gave him a ticking off and a telling off. But before that came to court, he was dragged through the coals by the media. He was absolutely tortured by the media. He was put under massive pressure to resign from his post in the church. And this man built the biggest church in Northern Ireland. Great guy, really, really. I knew him. He's a really, really good guy. And so this stuff's been going on for a very, very long time. And it's chilling because, listen, we're only one slip up on a live stream away from having what Maya Tusi's got, When I say a slip up, we're not saying anything that's wrong. We're just telling the truth. But if we tell the truth in a way that somebody finds offensive, then, man, you're going to have that.
What country have we become, like, where we have to be so careful, right? The air of England was supposed to be too pure for such things, right? For us to be slaves to each other. And this is the thing as well. Like, I have seen this for a very long time, and I've known this for a very long time. Like, this is a problem of Pakistanis, right? Who have come into the system, and the nefarious ones, right? And this is led by Pakistanis because they have been here for longer than other Muslim groups, and they have come into they've gone into as solicitors and within government and here or there and stuff like that. And there are two kinds of them, right? One of them is either Islamist, who are working against everything, or the other ones are Marxist, right? So they're working on the other side of things, and they're subverting everything like that, right? And they are like, that's why, like, not being able to trust the Muslims is so much of a more of a problem than actually going against Islam, right? Because they want people to be protected and stuff. And this is
Yeah.
why I say, like, but there's a whole problem in the creation of Pakistan itself, and we just get people into the country without realizing the problems that these people have, these countries have and stuff. I only lived there like for 10 years, and this is the reason why I didn't assimilate, because with Pakistanis, because I could see that there is a problem over there. That country should never have existed. It should have been one India over there, and it would have been a lot better, a lot more peaceful, right? It would have been a lot more peaceful if Muslims never came to colonize India, right? But that's another matter, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking what was it, 450 million people, I think, were
Yeah,
killed in the jihad in India before the Brits got there. You know, and people
exactly.
complain about British
Yeah,
colonialism. I mean, you know, what about the Islamic colonialism that
yeah.
that literally slaughtered? I mean, you see, the problem was in India, they slaughtered you if you were a Hindu, then you were considered a pagan. So you
Hmm.
were worse than you were worse than a Christian or a Jew. You were a
Oh
pagan. You
yeah,
couldn't pay the
because you're
jizya.
not of the book. Yeah.
You got two choices. You got two
Mm.
choices. If you're a pagan, you either convert or you die. That's
Yeah,
it. There's no chance to pay the jizya.
yeah,
You know, you've got you know
yeah,
you've got to convert. Whereas at least with the Jews and the Christians, they can pay the jizya. You know,
yeah. Exactly.
they
Yeah,
can pay the mafia for
yeah,
practicing their religion. You know,
yeah.
so but again, nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about this in the
Yeah.
mainstream media, and goodness knows, you know, I
But
do
we
these
get
streams.
the thing is, like, we get these people in without understanding their culture and stuff. We don't know
Yeah,
that there's nefarious actors coming over here. Why
yeah,
would why would a good decent person, right, who is intelligent and stuff like that, would want to come over here in this country and live 10 people to a house, right, do delivery jobs and stuff like that as a Muslim, unless they had some other nefarious intentions as well, right?
yeah. That's what I
Unless
think.
they were like that dirt poor that there's no other option for them. Okay, I understand that, right? You are going to try to make your life better, but we as a country have to sort of have a bit of more screening on them. Are they
Yeah.
just the poor sort of people, or are they the nefarious sort of people, you know?
Exactly. I mean, so all I mean, all these things are discussions that nobody's having. You know,
Hmm.
Farage isn't having these discussions.
No,
You
he
know, I
can't.
mean,
He can't.
and you know, do you know what? I mean, a lot of people, because I do criticize Farage, a lot of people think that I actually like Farage, right? Because
Hmm.
I think he's very charismatic. I think he's a very good communicator, but I just think he's wrong on so many issues and on the way he's treated the British working class. Because let's get it right, Tommy represents the British working class. You go
Hmm.
anywhere with Tommy, and it's like
Yeah.
being with a rock star,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
I've
And
seen it. Yeah.
if you're big and wearing a black jacket, they just think you're a security all the time. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So but you know, the reality is that you know I'd love to see Farage see the light, and I thought he was getting there. I thought he was getting there a couple of
Yeah.
times. I thought, oh yeah, he's kind of getting this now,
Yeah.
but he's got to be braver. He's got to be
Yeah.
like Trump. I mean, look, what does Trump say? Trump says, "I'm going to deport 10 million people
Yeah.
or whatever it is." You know,
Yeah.
interesting about Trump. I found out a couple of weeks ago, Trump's granny, right? Was it granny or great granny? Granny or great granny
Hmm.
was involved in a Christian spiritual revival in the Isle of Lewis in the late 1940s. She was called Mary McLeod, I believe, and yeah, and apparently that was Trump's granny. So he's got some good heritage, good stock,
Yeah.
good
But you know, like,
Presbyterian stock.
yeah, if you want to, like, what I see, like, the main difference within the Reform Party, or which was between Farage and Ben Habib, right? So what I saw the difference was, for Farage, is that he wants to save Britain, right? For
Yeah,
Ben Habib was, he wanted Britain to be saved, right? These are two very different things, because
yeah,
for one, if he's not the one who saves Britain, he's gonna tank the whole project, right? Because it's either him who
absolutely.
saves it or nobody else saves it. For Ben
Yeah,
Habib, it was pretty clear that he didn't care who saves it, as long as there's a good system in
yeah,
place that
yeah,
saves the Britain, right? And that's
yeah,
why I got attracted to Ben Habib and what he was saying, was like, well, he's not talking from his personal self. He's not
yeah,
like, he doesn't have that sort of an ego to him.
yeah.
He has actually no ego to him. I don't see that. But with
Do
Farage,
you know
it's
what?
sort of like, I will save it. If I don't save it, that means it's not worth it. Sour grapes. It's
Yeah,
not worth it.
yeah.
You know?
I honestly think I honestly think that Ben is a very unique individual. I think
Yeah.
I think he's a good man. I think he's listen. He's independently very wealthy. He's done very well for himself. He's he's a far better businessman than I'll ever be, and he's intelligent. He's articulate. He's well educated, but he's not elitist. He's quite happy. He's quite happy sitting with working class people in Northern Ireland, in London, anywhere around the country, chatting to them, and he's genuinely comfortable. Like a lot of times when and again, I don't know what Farage is like. I've never met him, so I can't judge him on this, how he is personally. But I don't know whether he's actually fully comfortable with them lot. We know Richard Tice certainly isn't.
Yeah.
All anybody wants is basically the country saved. And
I don't care who does it.
We don't care how it's done. We don't care about the mechanism. But I do know this: the pledge is a massive part of that mechanism. Yeah. That's all I know. And whether that, I've said this before, whether that the way of saving the country is reform, UKIP, bit of the Tory party, Ben Habib, whoever, it doesn't matter. As long as they get together, as long as they get under those principles, sit under those principles. Yeah. And again, if someone's not signing up to those principles, I've got to say why. If you're on our side and you're saying you don't have anything to do with the pledge, you don't want to do stuff for the pledge, you don't want to help out with the pledge, you wouldn't help out with any demos for the pledge, then you're a wrong un. There's something wrong with you. Yeah. But you're not on our side. You might think you are, but you're really not, and I think that's the that's the key.
And I want to say about the Reform Party as well, because a lot of people say you're going against Farage, which means you're dividing the vote and stuff, and you're disuniting the right or something. He's doing all he can to disunite the right himself, right? He's the one who's distancing people. Did you see Richard Tice having this Twitter spat with people yesterday, past 2 days? He's been so disrespectful to a lot of people. Connor Tomlinson, I love that guy a lot, from Lotus Eaters and stuff. He made a cogent argument against a criticism of Reform Party and what he would like them to do and stuff like that, and he just told him he's talking utter rubbish and stuff on Twitter. Why, he hasn't insulted you? Why are you being so petulant? The reason why you're being so petulant is because I don't think so you believe in free speech. I think so you and Farage have fooled a lot of people into thinking you are free speech advocates, right? And you have fooled the Americans, influence them to thinking you are free speech advocates, but you're anything but, right? If someone doesn't agree with you, then that's it. That's it. You're out.
Exactly. And that's exactly the problem I've got with Reform and with Tice. And I mean, Connor Tomlinson's a great guy. He's a really nice lad. And I mean, and he's only a young lad. I mean, and I hope he did hold his ground and push back. Yeah. And we've got Nick Tenconi, and I've stacks of time for Nick. I mean, he's passionate, he's intelligent, he's I mean, so we've got some really good people. So it's not just down to, listen, if Farage gets 100 million quid from Elon, well, let's just see. I mean,
but what is the point? Okay, he might win the elections. I don't care. Let him win the elections.
Yeah.
I'm not voting for Reform Party. I'm voting for the country to be saved, to be fixed. Right? If he's just going to win the party and become Tory 2.0, then what problem has been fixed? No problem will be fixed. So that just means that we need to keep on pushing, right? So that's why it would have been better if we would have just voted for Tories, and Tories would have got in, and Reform Party would not have done anything. Because at least then
we would have a Labour Party.
We would have exactly. They gave hope, and they're not reneging on that hope.
Do you know what annoys me? I went against my principles. I genuinely did, because we were all having discussions before the election, and I was like, guys, listen, all that voting for Reform is going to do is split the vote. And ensure a Labour, and it did. I mean, it did. And I was like, do you know what? I really don't want to tell people to vote for Reform. And in the end, I got that much. Do you know what? I buckled on it, and I'm really annoyed with myself, because I should have stood my ground. I went, okay, okay, Tommy's back Reform. Everyone else is back in Reform. I'll just for the easy life. It's not. And I shouldn't have done it. even though it wouldn't have made a difference to the election, but in my own conscience, I kind of went against my own conscience. And I'm pretty annoyed
But
with
they
myself
were
about
also
that.
showing good signs, Reform, at before the election to
They
get
were,
our
they
vote.
were, they were.
And then
Oh yes,
straight
I
away
mean there
they
was all
turned
sorts
into
of
Tories.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's all sorts
they
of
turned into
back channels.
Yeah, and they turned, like, Farage has turned so bad that Robert Jendrick is better than him now,
Yeah,
right? Like,
I know.
that's why I was backing Robert Jendrick
I'm
to be
sorry.
leader of the.
I'm sorry, Jenrick. I know what Jenrick wanted to do with us when we were doing protests outside the hotels, and believe you me, he tried to set the dogs on us because my local
Oh yeah,
MP.
like I do not disagree with that. Like, but what I'm saying, like, what he is representing, what he can represent is more than Farage. It's like, why are you not taking the advantage of that? Like, why are you not speaking for the people? Why are you just dismissing us and just disregarding us? If we have criticisms of Reform Party, why are you not addressing it as if you would be addressing your friends to agree with you, right? To like show, like, unite us. You want to unite, right? Then unite us. You won't unite us by disregarding us.
Why won't you support reform? Because they won't even let me join the party because I was in For Britain. For Britain was not a fascist party. For Britain had exactly the same policies as UKIP does now, and actually the same policies that reform should have, but they haven't got the bottle to have, right?
Yeah.
So I joined For Britain. Anne-Marie was great, very smart, very clever woman. She's still there, but she's just not in politics anymore. But she was great, and she, because I was a member of For Britain, it's on their block list that you can't join reform if you're a member of For Britain. I just want to say that Karen C is asking about the pledge. That's a really good question. What we'll do, I've just made a note here. We'll get a PDF version of the pledge created. We'll put it on the site so that you can download it from the site, and then you better print it, because obviously otherwise you'd have to copy and paste it, and it's going to be more difficult to format. So I will do a PDF version of the pledge, because that's a great idea. You could print it off and sign it and put it on your wall. Because a lot of people, so that's super cool.
With people who, like, who might not want to, like, some people would have difficulty reading as well on the screen and stuff. Do
you know what? There's so much we can do with this, and like I say, considering how much, we've done this with literally no money. Nobody's given us a penny towards doing the pledge. It's all been self-funded. And I think it's really gone very, very well, so far. So let's just keep pushing it and keep hammering home and see where we end up. Well, Momus, have you anything else, mate, that you want to talk about? Have I missed anything, or is there anything else you want to go through?
I think so. We have covered a lot. I'll just remind people again to go on my Twitter page and celebrate the Islamophobia Awareness Month with me, where I have mentioned each day the problems with Islam. I will be and fundamental problems with Islam. So I wanted to make sure that they are problems of Islam first and culture later, and not culture first and Islam later. So I haven't included things like female genital mutilation. I haven't included things like honor killing, because they are culture first and Islam later. Those problems in specific areas. But I will be converting that into a book. So, I need people's support for that and stuff, because I probably will be fired from my job when I start doing that. So
welcome to my world. I've been there, done that, won the t-shirt. 60 grand a year job gone,
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
Man, don't tell me about it,
Yeah, but there. I think that we have covered.
That's what happens. That's what happens. You get in the movement, Mo. You just, it eats you alive, And then when you set up a business, they start coming after your business.
Yeah.
Well, keep battling. I mean, keep battling, because you've probably got a good kit. And we've got Shohab in Wales has been through exactly the same thing. Shohab? He's still a Muslim. He's a Muslim guy.
Really?
He's a great kid. Yeah. He's a young lad. He's funny enough, Pakistani origin.
I think so. I think I was supposed to talk Saudi with him. Yeah.
And he came over, and he's been fired from his job. He supports Tommy. He knows that everything's wrong, and he wants to put it right. And he's been put through the ringer. So we need to support guys like Shohab and support Momus as well, because look, at the end of the day, it will come on top of you, Momus. I mean, it's just a matter of when. I mean, they will come after you. In terms of
they already have. Like, I've gone through 8 months of investigations at work. It's just because Free Speech Union helped me. That's why I came through. But it's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. But at the same time, I can't just keep my mouth shut, right? So I only have two options, because I like my work, right? And I like working as well. I like having a job, because it keeps me honest. It makes sure that I don't turn into some sort of like grifter, right? So that I'm not just sensationalizing things to earn money and stuff. I earn my money through my work, and it keeps me honest that way, right? So it will come down to the fact that I might have to go somewhere else to work, go out of the country to actually work, right? So it's just it's sad. I don't want that to happen. But
the reality is, I used to see all that about grifting, and I used to be like, but you know what? I've come to the conclusion. If you look at Tommy, right? People always used to say Tommy's a grifter, all this sort of nonsense, right? Tommy can't get a job. Tommy couldn't even get a job on a building site because one, he wouldn't be safe. So Tommy has to make his money out of the movement. And the deeper you get into the movement, the more that becomes the case. So I think, again, like I ask for donations on my channel. Well, I don't ask. I put donation links on my channel. It was you that introduced me to Buy Me a Coffee, and people have very kindly given, supported me and given me money, and it's actually been very helpful, because I've only done it because I needed to, not because I want to get, I literally backs against the wall.
You're not getting rich off it anyways. Like,
I mean, well, look, like I say, I had a 50, 60 grand a year job, depending on how much I sold. It was between 50 and 60 grand a year for 20 years, and I lost that in 2020 as a result of the movement. And look, I didn't go and sue the guy I work for. I got where he was coming from. It is what it is. It's not a big deal. But that's a difficult thing, a difficult chunk of money to replace. So these people that call us grifters because we're saying, okay, if you want to give us some money, we'd be really grateful and thank you very much. I very much doubt they've put the effort into the movement that we have. And if they have, they've managed to do it and managed to keep hold of their jobs, which means that they're not putting their head above the parapet. So
a lot of these people are anonymous as well, right? And you got to ask them, why are you anonymous then, right?
Well, it's even worse. Do you know what? It's worse. It's worse when the people that dig you out are people that know you. That's when it gets really hurtful, because you're going, hold on, you know me, you know why I'm asking for this, Just
exactly.
Just
most of us are providing a product and stuff as well. Like, I have a Substack, and people can go on my Substack. That's the worldofmoments.com. You can go on my Substack. Everything is for free over there, and payment is optional, right? If you want to support me, you pay for it. But I'm providing you a product. I'm not just asking money and stuff like that. With yours as well, you're providing a product and stuff. YouTube will not let you monetize your stuff. So you got to replace that as well somehow, right? There's a lot of efforts that go into these things and stuff. And if you want people to keep on fighting, everyone can't do it. I agree. But if you want certain people to speak up about these things, fight about these things, keep on going in the cultural movement, then you have to contribute towards something to buy their product or whatever, so that they can keep doing it.
I mean, here's the thing, right? We've done a video for an hour and a half there, right? I think we spoke fairly knowledgeably about what's happening in the world and try to give people hope. And so at the end of the day, that is a product. That's content. That's and people are being encouraged, and we're not doing it for money. But at the end of the day, if people want to support us, so I don't get into that grifting stuff. And if people want to, call us grifters because we monetize, things, and we have little links where people can donate money. I'm not saying donate money to me. If you don't want to donate money, don't. If you don't like me and you don't want to give me money, that's absolutely fine. But if you do like me and you want to give me money, there's the
to these people like the Times and the Telegraph, they're not grifters, are they?
No, the paywall. You can't see any of their content without a paywall. You couldn't watch an hour and a half interview with two intelligent and articulate young men like us, Momus, for free on the Daily Telegraph, right? So
that's where you lost your audience now.
I know. But no. I mean, I just it's just one of my bugbears, and look, Tommy has put more. I wouldn't care if Tommy was earning £1 million a year. I would be quite happy for him to earn £1 million a year. It wouldn't trouble me in the least, because like someone was saying there, when you see these reality TV stars and they're all doing whatever it is they do to get money. I don't know how to get money, but the reality is that Tommy is trying to save the country. right?
Yeah, he's
And
actually
he's
trying to
putting
do
his life on the
something
line.
with it. Yeah.
He can't earn money because of his position and because of what he's doing. And there's a lot of other people that are getting into that situation as well, because as the world closes in on us because of what we're doing, our ability to make money becomes less and less and less. And that's
Yeah.
just a fact of, that's a fact of
Yeah.
life. So again, anyone
And
that's,
that
I want to
affects
thank
everything. That affects everything. That affects
it,
family life. That affects your
of
own future and
course,
stuff. You
of
know.
course, of
Yeah.
course, so look, it is what it is. I kind of laugh about all that now because but when people were first saying it to me, I was like, come on, guys, give us a break. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, but yeah.
No.
So that's it. I mean, it's absolutely true. Someone else was going to say there, Momus. Oh, I can't remember. Got
That's all right. My
totally
wife is
sidetracked on that.
getting more and more angry now, anyways, because dinner
Okay,
time.
well, listen, well, that's it. The other thing you've got to, what are this happy wife, happy life moments? Do you know what I mean? You've got to, you don't want that pain. You don't want that pain, mate. But well, listen, guys, thank you everybody for watching. Oh yes, I was going to say, moments. Give me your social media, so we can. I'll blast them up on the screen here. What's your links there, moments?
Okay, so people can catch me on theworldofmomus.com. That is my
Let me just. I'll put this up now. Bear with me.
I will just message you as well. Theworldofmomus.com.
Well, what I'll do, I'll put them on the thing here. Hang on.
On the chat, yeah.
World of Momus, got that, Momus? Yep.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And also they can catch me on the World of Momus. That's my tag on Twitter as well.
Okay. World of Momus. Come on. It's just taking a little while to load. And then Twitter. Let's get Twitter up. World of Momus.
And they can find me on Spotify, on YouTube, and everywhere as the World of Momus. YouTube tries its best to censor me.
And again, Momus, I mean, your writing is absolutely superb. I mean, I'm signed up, and I get the emails on a regular basis, and it is really good stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show. I'll just put the channels up here, guys. So right, let's make sure. Again, this is where it gets. I have to try and get a bit technical, so if it goes wrong, I'll apologize in advance. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, World of Momus. There we go. Let's see if we can do that, and just let me know if that's on the screen. And then we just need to do that. Okay, so that is. Let me know what you see that, guys. That's what you're looking for. The World of Momus. You go and Google the World of Momus, you'll find him anyway. But that's the page that you're actually looking for when you get there. Let's have a look at X. See if we can do the same again. Share this tab instead. So, guys, just let me know you can see that you're seeing that on the screen. That's Momus's Twitter. Yeah, you got that, guys? Yeah.
That's on now, yeah.
Can you see it there, Momus?
With my Christmas profile picture. Yeah.
There you go. That's fantastic. I still haven't got a Christmas tree yet because I'm just a bit of an Ebenezer Scrooge. So, and that's my pick there and my site. So do us a favor, guys. If you're not following us already, follow us all on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. That's my Twitter profile there. And let's have a look. Can you see that yet, guys? Share this tab instead.
Yeah, people can see that. Yeah,
that's
and the Counter Media. That's a new
Counter Media. That's me and Momus live now on the screen. So that's a new channel that I'm developing. So by all means, follow that. And then let's just show you this one as well. So this is the pledge. So let me know you can see that, guys. Yeah, the pledge.
Yeah, okay. The pledge.org.uk.
Pledge.org.uk. So there we go. It should be back to me and Momus.
Yeah, it is.
Listen, that was I think a pretty detailed stream. So guys, if you enjoyed that, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up, go across to the new channel, Counter Media, follow Momus, follow me, and share this video everywhere, because we want to who's crying? Someone's laughing at my logos. Oh well. Who's I don't really care. I mean, that's the thing. But people get upset about people commenting, I don't care what
Yeah.
people say in the comments.
No.
It's just
No,
like
we doing
I've had some.
these things ourselves. Like other
Yeah,
people
yeah.
have like editors and whatever. We do everything
Yeah,
ourselves.
if everybody
Yeah.
liked me, I'd be really, really worried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if there's, if you want to have your 5 minutes of hate against me and Momos, go for it, guys. I'm happy enough with
Yeah.
that. If that's what gets you off, that's fine. You just hate me and Momos as much as you want.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, I'll let you get back to your long suffering wife, Momos.
Yes.
And guys, thanks for watching. We'll do it all again soon. Oh yes, I've got Don Keith coming on now.
way.
I think Don's coming on. I think it's 9 o'clock Tuesday. I'll check in my inbox.
This coming Tuesday?
This coming Tuesday, yeah. So
Third
Don Keith's
of
coming on,
December.
and I want to get the American side of the story, and hopefully we can get it through to Don Keith, to get it through to everybody in America, because he knows everybody in Trump's team. Then we can hopefully change Elon's mind, and if he wants to give 100 million quid, well, he can give it to Ben Habib and UKIP instead.
Yeah.
Guys, listen, good stream. I'll be on with Paul Thorpe later on in the week as well. And to all the people that love us, keep loving us. To all the people that hate us, just enjoy your hate, wallow in it. If it makes you feel good, then that's absolutely fine. See you all soon.
See you all soon.
See you guys.